The phone rang at 11:47 p.m. I'd been in my new beach house exactly 6 hours. I picked up, expecting maybe a wrong number or some telemarketer who didn't care about time zones. Instead, I heard my son's voice, casual as if he were asking me to pass the salt. "Dad, hey, listen, about your bedroom. You need to move to the guest room." I sat up straighter in bed, the ocean waves suddenly too quiet outside my window. "Excuse me?" "Yeah, Kate's family is coming down for the weekend. All of them. They'll need the master suite. It's got the better view, and her parents are particular about that stuff. I'd worked 32 years building my business from nothing. Sold it 3 months ago for enough money to finally breathe. This house was supposed to be my reward, my place, my peace. This is my house, Jeremy. Come on, don't be difficult. It's just one weekend. Besides, if you're not happy with the arrangement, I heard there's a decent retirement home about a mile down the street. Palm Gardens or something. Might be more your speed anyway." I sat there in the dark, phone still pressed to my ear, listening to the dial tone. 36 years old, my son. I'd paid for his college, his wedding, helped with his first house down payment, and this was how he spoke to me now. I set the phone down carefully on the nightstand. My hands weren't shaking. They were steady, which surprised me. I'd expected anger, but what I felt was colder than that, clearer. I walked to the window and looked out at the black water stretching to the horizon. The moon was just a sliver, barely lighting the foam on the waves. That's when I started planning. They arrived Friday afternoon like an invading army. I heard the vehicles before I saw them. 2 SUVs, both new, both expensive. The kind that made a statement about wealth and status. I was sitting on the front porch, coffee in hand, wearing my oldest jeans and a shirt with a small bleach stain on the collar. Jeremy got out first, tall, clean-cut, wearing sunglasses that probably cost more than my first car. Then came Kate, his wife of 3 years, blonde, polished, with that particular expression of someone who'd never heard the word no. Behind them, the rest of Kate's family emerged like clowns from a circus car. Her parents, Richard and Diane. Her sister's husband, and 2 teenagers who immediately pulled out their phones and started filming the house. "Dad," Jeremy called out, waving like we were old friends meeting at a barbecue. "Hope you got the room sorted out." I took a long sip of my coffee. I did. Kate clicked her way up the porch steps in heels completely inappropriate for a beach house. "Where should we put our things? The master bedroom, I assume." "The guest rooms are down the hall," I said. 3 of them. Should be plenty of space." Her smile froze. Jeremy made a suggestion. I declined. Richard, her father, stepped forward. He had that particular kind of confidence that comes from never having been truly challenged. "Now, let's be reasonable here. We drove 4 hours. That's unfortunate," I said. "There's a hotel about 20 minutes north, the Sandpiper. I hear they have availability." "This is ridiculous," Kate said, her voice rising. "Jeremy, say something." Jeremy looked between us, and I saw the calculation in his eyes. Which side would cost him less? He chose poorly. "Dad, come on. Don't embarrass me in front of Kate's family." I stood up slowly, set my coffee cup down on the porch railing. "You have 2 choices. Take the guest rooms I'm offering, or leave. Those are your options." "You can't be serious," Diane said, her face reddening. "What kind of father treats his own son this way?" "The kind who paid for that son's entire life and gets told to move to a guest room in his own house." The silence that followed was beautiful. Kate's sister whispered something to her husband. The teenagers kept filming, sensing drama. Richard's jaw tightened, and I could see him mentally calculating whether this was a fight worth having. "Fine," Kate said finally, her voice ice. "We'll take the guest rooms, but don't think this is over." I picked up my coffee. "I'm counting on it." They filed past me into the house, luggage dragging, faces tight with rage. Jeremy was last. He paused at the door, looking at me with something I couldn't quite read. Disappointment, surprise. "I didn't think you'd actually say no," he said quietly. "Then you don't know me at all," I replied. Dinner that night was a masterclass in passive aggression. I'd prepared a simple meal: grilled fish, salad, roasted potatoes. Nothing fancy, but good food. I set it out on the dining table and waited. They came down at 7, having spent the afternoon unpacking and whispering in their rooms. I could hear the occasional raised voice, muffled by walls but still audible. Kate sat down first, her expression carefully neutral. "This looks nice." "Thank you." Richard carved into his fish like he was performing surgery. "So, Tom, Jeremy tells us you sold your business." I did. "What kind of business was it again?" He knew exactly what kind of business it was. Jeremy had told them. This was a test, seeing if I'd play along with small talk. "Industrial supply," I said. "Started it in 1991. Built it up over 3 decades. "Must have been quite a sale," Diane said, her eyes sharp. "This house couldn't have been cheap." "It wasn't." Kate's sister, whose name I'd already forgotten, leaned forward. "Do you think you'll get bored? Just sitting around at the beach all day?" "I'll manage." "I just mean," she continued, "people your age usually need structure, purpose. Otherwise they just sort of fade away." I set down my fork carefully. "How old do you think I am?" She blinked. "I don't know. 70. 58. Jeremy coughed into his napkin. Kate glared at her sister. "Well," Richard said, trying to recover, "the point is, retirement can be hard. Have you thought about what you'll do with all this space? Seems like a lot of house for just one person." I hadn't thought about it. "Because," he continued, warming to his subject, "Kate and Jeremy are looking to upgrade, and this location is perfect for them. Close to Jeremy's office, good schools for future grandchildren." I laughed. Actually laughed. It came out harsher than I intended. "You're suggesting I give them my house?" "Not give," Diane said quickly. "More like, keep it in the family. You could move somewhere smaller, more manageable. We could work out a fair arrangement." "No." "You didn't even let me finish." "No," I repeated. "This is my house. I will live in it until I decide otherwise. That decision will not involve any of you." Kate's face flushed red. "Jeremy, are you hearing this?" Jeremy stared at his plate. "Dad." "Don't," I said. "Whatever you're about to say, don't." The rest of dinner passed in painful silence. They finished their food quickly and retreated upstairs. I sat alone at the table, listening to the ocean through the open windows, and felt absolutely nothing. The wedding had been 6 months earlier. I'd paid for most of it, of course. $23,000 for a venue, food, flowers, and a band that played covers badly. Kate had insisted on specific details. Everything had to be perfect, she'd said. This was her special day. I'd gone along with it because Jeremy seemed happy, and I wanted him to be happy. That's what parents do. The ceremony was beautiful, I'll give her that. Kate looked stunning in her dress. Jeremy looked nervous but excited. I sat in the front row and tried not to think about how much the flower arrangements cost per hour. The reception was where things got interesting. I was standing near the bar when Kate approached me. She had that particular smile people wear when they're about to ask for something they know you won't want to give. "Tom, can we talk?" "Of course." She led me to a quieter corner, away from the dancing. Her bridesmaids watched from across the room, giggling into their champagne. "Jeremy and I have been talking," she said, "about our future." "That's good. We think it would be better if we had more space. Your apartment downtown, the one you've been renting out, we'd like to take it over." I owned a 2-bedroom apartment in the city. Good location, good building. I'd been renting it for 15 years to a quiet couple who always paid on time. "The apartment isn't available," I said. Her smile tightened. "We'd be willing to pay rent. The current tenants have a lease. Leases can be broken. Not by me. Tom. Her voice changed, became harder. Jeremy is your son. Don't you want to help us? I have helped you. I paid for this wedding. And we're grateful, but we need more than a wedding. We need a future. That apartment would be perfect for us. The answer is no. She stared at me for a long moment. Then, without warning, her hand came up and cracked across my face. The slap echoed across the reception hall. Music stopped. Conversations died. Everyone turned to look. My cheek burned. Kate's hand was still raised, trembling slightly. Her eyes were wide, as if she couldn't believe what she'd just done. "How dare you?" she hissed. "How dare you embarrass me like this at my own wedding?" Jeremy appeared beside her. "Kate, what?" "Your father just refused to help us," she said loudly, making sure everyone could hear. "After everything we've done for him, after including him in our special day." I touched my cheek. It was hot, probably red. "I think I'll leave now." "Yes," Kate said. "Maybe you should." I walked out of my son's wedding reception with 200 people watching. I heard the whispers start before I even reached the door. The man showed up on Sunday morning. I was making breakfast when the doorbell rang. Kate's family was still asleep upstairs, probably exhausted from a night of complaining about me. I opened the door to find a man in his 60s standing on my porch. Grey hair, expensive suit despite the early hour and beach location. He had the kind of face that had seen things, done things, and remembered all of it. "Thomas Brennan?" he asked. "Yes." "My name is Walter Price. I'm an attorney. May I come in?" I stepped aside. He walked into the living room with the confidence of someone who'd been in many homes and knew how to read them quickly. "Nice place," he said. "You have good taste." "Thank you. What's this about?" He pulled out a business card and handed it to me. Walter Price, attorney at law, specialized in estate planning and family litigation. "I represent the estate of Margaret Price. She passed away 3 months ago." The name meant nothing to me. "I'm sorry for your loss, but I don't understand." "Margaret was my sister. She was also your birth mother." The room tilted slightly. I sat down on the couch without planning to. "I was adopted," I said slowly. "When I was 3 days old, the records were sealed." They were. But Margaret spent the last 20 years of her life trying to find you. She succeeded 2 years ago. She wanted to reach out, but she was already sick by then. Cancer. "Why are you here?" Walter sat down across from me. "Because Margaret left you something in her will. A considerable estate. Properties, investments, a trust fund. She wanted you to have it. She wanted you to know she thought about you every day since she gave you up." I couldn't speak. My throat felt tight. "The estate is worth approximately $4.2 million, Walter continued. "It's yours, no strings attached. But there's one thing Margaret wanted you to know." "What?" "She kept track of you over the years. Once she found you, she learned everything she could. She knew about your business, your success, your son, and she knew about your son's wedding 6 months ago." My chest went cold. "How?" "She hired someone to attend. Not to interfere, just to watch. To see you, even from a distance." He paused. "She saw what happened at the reception. The slap. Of course. Margaret was very protective of you. She included a clause in her will. The money is yours, but she made one request, that you use it to teach your son the value of respect, the value of family. She didn't specify how. She trusted you to know what to do." Walter stood up. "The paperwork will be delivered to you this week. You'll have full access to the funds within 10 days. I'm sorry I couldn't bring you better news about Margaret. She was a good woman who made a hard choice and regretted it every day." He walked to the door, then turned back. "One more thing. Margaret watched your son grow up through you. She knew what kind of man you raised. She was disappointed." After he left, I sat in the living room for an hour, not moving, just thinking. Upstairs, Kate's family started to wake up. I heard footsteps, voices, laughter. $4.2 million. I could work with that. They left Sunday afternoon, earlier than planned. Kate made a production of it, of course, gathering everyone in the living room, making sure I was there to witness her displeasure. "We've decided to cut our trip short," she announced. "The accommodations aren't what we were promised." "That's unfortunate," I said. Jeremy stood beside her, looking uncomfortable. "Dad, I think we should talk." "There's nothing to talk about," Kate interrupted. "Your father has made his feelings clear. We're not welcome here." "I never said that." "You didn't have to." She picked up her purse, designer bag that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. "Come on, everyone, let's go." They filed out like mourners at a funeral. Diane made a point of not looking at me. Richard muttered something under his breath. The teenagers were already back on their phones. Jeremy lingered at the door. "I'm sorry about this." "Are you?" "I just wanted everyone to get along." "Then you should have set better expectations." He opened his mouth to say something else, then closed it. Whatever he'd been about to say, he thought better of it. Smart choice. "I'll call you," he said finally. "Sure." I watched them load into their SUVs and drive away, dust kicking up on the gravel road. When they were gone, I went back inside and made myself lunch. The house felt bigger, cleaner, like something toxic had been removed. That afternoon, I sat on the back deck with a notepad and started making a list. Jeremy's finances, Kate's family connections, their plans, their ambitions, their weaknesses. Everything I knew, everything I could find out. I wrote for 3 hours, filling pages with notes, cross-references, ideas. My phone rang around 6, Jeremy's number. "Hey," he said, "we made it home." "Good. Listen, about this weekend. Kate's upset." "I imagine she is. She thinks you don't respect her family." "She's right." Silence on the other end. Then, "Dad, what's going on with you? You've been different lately." "Have I?" "Ever since the wedding, it's like you're angry at everyone." I looked out at the ocean. The sun was setting, painting the water orange and red. "I'm not angry, Jeremy. I'm just done pretending." "Pretending what?" "That I don't see what's happening. That I don't notice the way Kate treats me, the way her family talks to me. That I haven't heard every hint, every suggestion that I should step aside and let you have my life. We're not trying to... Jeremy, let me ask you something. When you called me that first night, told me to move to the guest room, what did you expect would happen?" He didn't answer. "You expected me to do it," I continued. "You expected me to just comply, because that's what I've always done. Given you what you wanted, when you wanted it, no questions asked. You're my father. Which means I raised you better than this, or I should have. Kate says you're being unreasonable. Kate slapped me at your wedding." Another long silence. She was upset. And that makes it acceptable. I'm not saying, "Look, can we just move past this? Start over?" "No. Dad, I need to go. Goodbye, Jeremy." I hung up and turned off my phone. The sunset was almost over now, just a thin line of light on the horizon. In the growing dark, I smiled. The paperwork from Walter Price arrived on Wednesday. 3 large envelopes, certified mail, requiring my signature. I spread everything out on the dining table and spent the afternoon reading through it all. Margaret Price had been thorough. The estate included 2 rental properties in the city, a portfolio of stocks and bonds, and a trust fund that generated about $15,000 a month in passive income. Everything was mine, free and clear, no taxes due, thanks to estate planning she'd done years ago. There was also a letter, handwritten shaky script that suggested it had been written near the end. "Dear Thomas," it began, "I've thought about writing this letter for 20 years. Or maybe it's just that I have nothing left to lose. I gave you up when you were 3 days old. I was 17, unmarried, and terrified. Your father, my boyfriend at the time, had already left. My parents gave me a choice, keep you and be disowned, or give you up and come home. I chose poorly. I've regretted that choice every day since. I finished school, went to college, became a lawyer. I married, divorced, built a career, but I never stopped thinking about you, never stopped wondering who you became. When I finally found you 2 years ago, I was already sick. The cancer had spread. I didn't have long. I hired someone to watch you from a distance, to tell me about your life. I was so proud of what you'd built, the business, the success. You did all of that without me. But I also saw the way your son treated you, the way his wife treated you. At the wedding, when she slapped you, I wanted to march in there and defend you myself. But I was too weak by then, too far gone. So I'm giving you the tools to defend yourself. Use this money wisely. Teach your son what I should have taught you myself. That family means loyalty, respect, and love, not manipulation or entitlement. I'm sorry I couldn't be your mother, but I hope this helps. Margaret. I read the letter 3 times, then carefully folded it and put it back in its envelope. My hands were steady. My mind was clear. I had work to do. The first step was information. I hired a private investigator, recommended by Walter Price. Her name was Sarah Chen, and she came with impressive credentials and a reputation for discretion. What do you need to know? She asked when we met at a coffee shop downtown. Everything. My son, Jeremy Brennan, his wife, Kate, her family parents, Richard and Diane, sister and brother-in-law, financial records, business dealings, any legal issues. I want to know what they're hiding. Sarah didn't blink. This is about family. It is. Those cases are always the hardest. You sure you want to go down this road? I'm sure. She quoted me a price. I paid half up front, right there at the coffee shop. She promised results within 2 weeks. While Sarah worked, I started my own investigation. I called old business contacts, people who knew people. I asked about Richard's company, his investments, his reputation in the business community. What I learned was interesting. Richard owned a commercial real estate firm, moderately successful, but not as successful as he pretended. He'd made some bad investments over the past few years, lost money on several properties. He was leveraged heavily, depending on new deals to cover old debts. Kate's lifestyle made more sense now. The expensive wedding, the designer bags, the new cars. She was living on borrowed money, maintaining an image her family could barely afford. And Jeremy, my son, was being pulled into it. I dug deeper, called in favors. By the end of the first week, I had a clearer picture. Richard was in trouble. Not quite drowning, but treading water. 1 or 2 more bad deals, and he'd go under. That's when I understood. The beach house, my downtown apartment, my money. They weren't just being greedy, they were desperate. Sarah called me on day 12. I've got your report. We met at the same coffee shop. She handed me a thick folder. It's all in there, but I'll give you the highlights. She pulled out a few pages. Your son is broke, not just broke, deeply in debt. Credit cards maxed out, car payment behind, mortgage underwater. He's been hiding it well. How deep? $140,000, maybe more. I sat back. How? Kate's spending mostly, but also some bad investments he made on Richard's advice. Cryptocurrency, tech stocks that crashed. He's been juggling payments for at least a year. And Kate? Kate's family is worse. Richard's company is on the edge of bankruptcy. He's got investors threatening lawsuits, creditors calling in debts. The house they live in? Second mortgage. The cars? Leased. It's all smoke and mirrors. She pulled out another page. Here's where it gets interesting. 3 weeks ago, Richard met with a bankruptcy attorney. He's preparing to file Chapter 11. When that happens, Kate's whole family loses everything. So they need my money. They don't just need it. They're counting on it. I found emails between Kate and her mother discussing your estate, how to convince you to help them. There's a whole strategy mapped out. I looked through the folder, emails, financial statements, property records. Sarah had been thorough. There's one more thing, she said. Kate's pregnant. I looked up sharply. What? About 6 weeks along. She hasn't told Jeremy yet. She's waiting for the right moment. I closed the folder carefully. Thank you, Sarah. This is excellent work. What are you going to do? I'm going to teach them a lesson. Jeremy called me 3 days later. Dad, we need to talk. About what? Can I come over? To the beach house? When? This weekend. Just me. Kate has plans with her family. I agreed. He arrived Saturday morning, driving his leased BMW that he couldn't actually afford. I was waiting on the porch when he pulled up. He looked tired, older than 36. There were lines around his eyes I hadn't noticed before. Thanks for letting me come, he said. You're always welcome here, Jeremy. We sat on the back deck, ocean breeze coming in through the screens. I'd made coffee, strong and black the way he liked it. I owe you an apology, he said finally, for how I talked to you that first night, for how Kate's family acted, for all of it. Okay. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say? He rubbed his face. I don't know. I thought you'd be angrier. I was angry. I'm past that now. He stared out at the ocean. I'm in trouble, Dad. I know. He turned to look at me. How? I'm not blind, Jeremy. I can see when someone's drowning. It's bad. Really bad. I've made mistakes. Kate has expensive taste, and I kept trying to give her what she wanted. Her dad gave me investment advice that didn't pan out, and now I'm buried in debt and I don't know how to get out. How much? 140,000, maybe more. I'm not even sure anymore. I sipped my coffee. That's a significant amount. I know. I've been trying to fix it, but everything I do just makes it worse. Kate doesn't know how bad it is. She thinks we're fine. She knows you're in trouble. She just doesn't know the full extent. How do you... I've been paying attention, Jeremy. It's what parents do. He laughed, but it came out bitter. Some parent I turned out to be. You're not a parent yet. He looked at me sharply. What? Kate's pregnant, about 6 weeks. His face went white. How do you know that? She made a doctor's appointment, used your insurance. The notification came to your email, the one you never check anymore because you're avoiding bills. He stood up, walked to the railing. She hasn't said anything. She's waiting. For what? For you to be in a better position, or for me to offer help. Whichever comes first. He turned around. I need your help, Dad. I know I don't deserve it after how I've treated you, but I'm asking anyway. Can you help me? No. The word hung in the air between us. No? No, Jeremy, I'm not going to pay your debts. I'm not going to bail you out. You made these choices. You need to live with the consequences. But I'm your son, which is exactly why I'm saying no. If I fix this for you, what will you learn? That you can be careless with money, disrespectful to me, and I'll just clean up the mess. That's not a lesson I want to teach. So you're just going to let me fail? I'm going to let you figure it out, the same way I figured things out when I was your age, the same way I built a business from nothing while you were growing up. That was different. How? He couldn't answer. Go home, I said. Talk to your wife, figure out a budget, a plan, sell the things you can't afford, cut up the credit cards. Do what needs to be done, but don't come to me expecting money. I can't believe this, he said quietly. My own father. Your father who paid for your college, your wedding, your first house down payment. How much more do you want from me? He stared at me for a long moment, then walked back through the house. I heard the front door open and close. His car started, gravel crunching as he drove away. I sat on the deck for a long time after that, watching the waves, feeling nothing. Kate called me 2 days later. How dare you, she said, not even bothering with a greeting. Hello, Kate. Jeremy came home devastated. He told me what you said, how you refused to help your own son. That's accurate. You're a selfish, cruel man. If you say so. We're family. Family helps each other. Then perhaps you should tell your father to help Jeremy. Since you're all so concerned about family. She paused. What's that supposed to mean? It means I know about Richard's company, about the bankruptcy, about the fact that your entire family is broke and desperate. You don't know anything. I know everything, Kate. I know about the debt, the bad investments, the mounting legal issues. I know you're 6 weeks pregnant and haven't told Jeremy yet. I know you've been planning for months how to manipulate me into giving you money. She was silent. Let me make something clear, I continued. You will never get $1 from me. Not now, not ever. You slapped me at your wedding. You tried to take my house. You encouraged my son to disrespect me. And now you want my help. No. You'll regret this. I doubt it. When our baby is born, you'll want to be involved. You'll want to be a grandfather. And we'll remember how you treated us. You're using an unborn child as leverage. Do you understand how that sounds? I'm protecting my family. No, Kate, you're protecting your lifestyle. There's a difference. She hung up. I smiled and went back to my reading. 3 weeks later, Richard called. Thomas, we should meet. Should we? I think we got off on the wrong foot. I'd like to clear the air. I'm listening. Not over the phone. Let's meet for lunch. My club downtown. Tomorrow, 1 o'clock. I agreed, curious about what he wanted. The club was exactly what I expected. Dark wood, leather chairs. Richard was waiting at a corner table, wearing a suit that probably cost $3,000 and showed every penny. Thanks for coming, he said, standing to shake my hand. Of course. We ordered drinks. He got scotch, expensive and aged. I got water. I'll be direct, Richard said after the waiter left. I think there's been some misunderstanding between our families. Have there? Kate can be intense. She means well, but she sometimes pushes too hard. And I think Jeremy might have given you the wrong impression about our financial situation. What impression is that? He smiled, the kind of smile that was meant to be charming, but came off as predatory. That we need your help. We don't. My company is doing quite well, actually. But I understand Jeremy has some debt issues, and as his father, I thought you might want to assist. Why would you care about Jeremy's debt? Because he's married to my daughter, his problems become her problems, and I protect my daughter. By encouraging her husband to borrow more money. His smile faltered. I gave him investment advice, good advice. The market didn't cooperate. You told him to buy cryptocurrency at its peak and tech stocks right before they crashed. That's not advice. That's sabotage. Now wait, I know about your company, Richard. I know about the bankruptcy filing you're preparing. I know about the lawsuits from investors, the creditors circling. I know everything. He set down his drink carefully. You've been investigating me. I've been protecting myself. From what? From people like you. People who see me as an easy mark, a retirement-age man with money and no sense. You thought you could manipulate me through Jeremy, get access to my assets, my properties, use me to bail out your failing company. That's absurd. Is it? Then why did you suggest I move somewhere smaller? Why did Kate ask for my apartment? Why has your entire family been pressuring me to give up my resources? He leaned back, his face hardening. You're making serious accusations. I'm stating facts. Here's another fact. I will never give you or your family any money. Not for Jeremy's debt, not for your company, not for anything. You want to threaten me? Go ahead. I have lawyers too. Better ones than you can afford. I stood up. Thanks for lunch. You can pay for it. I walked out of the club, leaving him sitting there, face red with rage. The real confrontation came a month later. Jeremy called, his voice tight. Dad, we need to meet. All of us. All of who? Me, Kate, Richard, Diane. We're coming to the beach house. Saturday. We need to settle this. Settle what? Everything. The money, the family issues, all of it. This has gone on too long. I agree. He sounded surprised. You'll meet with us? Of course. Come Saturday. Let's finish this. I spent the week preparing. Not for a fight. I had no intention of fighting. But I wanted everything documented, everything clear. Sarah Chen helped me put together a presentation, financial records, email exchanges, recorded phone calls, everything they'd done, everything they'd said, laid out in undeniable detail. Saturday arrived. They showed up at 2 in the afternoon, 3 cars worth of people. Jeremy and Kate, Richard and Diane, even Kate's sister and brother-in-law. I was waiting in the living room. On the coffee table, I'd arranged several folders. "Thank you for coming," I said as they filed in. Kate looked around. "Where's your lawyer?" "I don't need one. Please sit." They arranged themselves on the couches and chairs, looking uncomfortable. "Good. I asked you here to make some things clear," I began. "Over the past few months, I've been confused by how I've been treated, so I did what any sensible person would do. I investigated." "Investigated?" Richard's voice was sharp. "Yes, and I found some interesting things." I picked up the first folder. "This is Jeremy's financial situation. $147,000 in debt, 3 months behind on his mortgage, credit cards maxed out. Kate's spending averaged $11,000 a month last year alone, on a salary of $80,000. Jeremy's face went pale. Kate looked at him sharply. I picked up the second folder. "This is Richard's company. Bankruptcy filing scheduled for next month. 17 different creditors, 4 lawsuits pending. The house you live in is in foreclosure. You have about 8 weeks before you're homeless." Diane gasped. Kate stood up. "How did you—" "It's all public record," I said calmly. "If you know where to look." I picked up the third folder. This is the really interesting one. Emails between Kate and Diane, discussing strategies to get money from me. Plans to convince me to sign over my properties. Discussion of power of attorney, guardianship, ways to declare me mentally incompetent. The room went silent. "You were going to have me declared unfit," I said, "so you could control my assets. That's not just greed. That's elder abuse." "That's not—" "We were just talking," Diane stammered. "You were conspiring. There's a difference." Jeremy stood up. "Dad, I didn't know about any of that." "Didn't you? You called me that first night and told me to move to the guest room. You stood by while Kate slapped me at your wedding. You've spent months pressuring me for money. Maybe you didn't know the full plan, but you were part of it." I was desperate. We're all desperate sometimes, Jeremy. It's what we do in those moments that defines us. Richard found his voice. "You can't prove any of this would hold up in court." "I don't need it to hold up in court. I just need you to understand that I know, and that I've taken steps to protect myself." I pulled out one more document. This is a new will. Everything I own goes to charity when I die. The beach house, the downtown apartment, Margaret Price's estate, all of it. You get nothing. Kate's face went white. "You can't do that." "I already did. It's signed, notarized, filed with my attorney. Even if something happens to me, you still get nothing." "This is insane," Richard said, standing. "You're punishing your own family." "I'm protecting myself from people who see me as a bank account instead of a person." "What about your grandchild?" Kate's hand went to her stomach. "You're going to abandon your own grandchild." "I'm not abandoning anyone, but I'm also not going to be manipulated by an unborn baby. If you want to be in my life, if you want your child to know their grandfather, then things need to change. Dramatically." "What do you want?" Jeremy asked quietly. "I want honesty. I want respect. I want you to fix your own problems instead of expecting me to fix them for you. Can you do that?" He looked at Kate, then back at me. "I can try." "Not good enough. Either you commit to changing or we're done. Those are your options." Kate grabbed her purse. "I'm not listening to this. Richard, Diane, let's go." "Kate!" Jeremy reached for her. "No, I won't sit here and be insulted by your father. He's clearly lost his mind. We should be talking to lawyers about having him evaluated." "If you pursue that," I said calmly, "I'll release every email, every financial record, every piece of evidence I have about your family's fraud and manipulation. It'll be public. Your father's business reputation will be destroyed. Whatever clients he has left will disappear. You'll never recover. She stared at me, hatred clear in her eyes. You wouldn't. Try me. Richard put a hand on her shoulder. Kate, let's go. This isn't worth it. They left in a storm of anger, doors slamming, engines revving. Kate's sister and brother-in-law followed quickly, not even saying goodbye. But Jeremy stayed. He stood in the living room, looking lost. What do I do now? You file for bankruptcy. You sell what you can't afford. You find a cheaper place to live. You get a second job if you need to. You do what people do when they're in debt. You work your way out of it. And Kate? That's between you and Kate, but if she's not willing to live within your means, then you have decisions to make. He nodded slowly. I'm sorry, Dad. For all of it. I know. Can we fix this? Our relationship? That depends on you. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. But I'm also not going to be treated like an ATM anymore. If you want a father, I'm available. If you want a bank, you're out of luck. He smiled weakly. I want a father. Then start acting like a son. Jeremy left an hour later. I watched his car disappear down the road, then went back inside and cleaned up the folders. My phone rang almost immediately. Richard's number. You've made a powerful enemy, he said without preamble. Have I? I have connections, resources. I can make your life very difficult. You're filing for bankruptcy next month. What resources exactly do you think you have? I still have friends, people who owe me favors. Then call them, see what happens. But Richard, let me be very clear about something. I spent 30 years building a business. I dealt with competitors, lawyers, regulators, people far smarter and more dangerous than you. You don't scare me. We'll see about that. He hung up. I deleted his number from my phone. Over the next few weeks, he tried. Small things at first. A negative review of my old business posted online. Anonymous emails sent to my neighbors claiming I was difficult. A complaint filed with the HOA about my landscaping. I ignored it all. And eventually, he stopped. His bankruptcy filing went through in November. The local business journal ran a story about it. Local Real Estate Mogul Files, Chapter 11. The article detailed his debts, his failed investments, the lawsuits. It wasn't kind. Kate's parents lost their house in December. They moved into a rental, something small and affordable. Kate's sister's husband filed for divorce around the same time. The whole family was imploding. And Jeremy surprised me. He filed for bankruptcy in October, sold his car, moved into a modest apartment, got a second job doing weekend consulting work. Kate fought him at first, but eventually, she seemed to accept reality. The baby was born in April, a girl. They named her Emma. Jeremy called me from the hospital. Dad, do you want to meet your granddaughter? I drove up that same day. Emma was tiny, red-faced, with a loud cry that filled the hospital room. Kate looked exhausted, but smiled when I came in. Hi, Tom. Hello, Kate. It was the first civil word we'd exchanged in months. Jeremy handed me the baby carefully. She was so light, so fragile. I held her and felt something crack inside my chest. Not breaking, opening. She's beautiful, I said. She is, Jeremy agreed, and she's going to have a better life than we did. No debt, no keeping up with anyone. Just a real life. That sounds good. Kate shifted in the hospital bed. Tom, I owe you an apology. I looked at her. She looked different, thinner, tired, but also somehow more real. I was awful to you, she continued. I was so focused on maintaining this image, this lifestyle, that I lost sight of what actually mattered. I blamed you for not giving us money when really, I should have been grateful for what you'd already done. Thank you for saying that. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I know I don't deserve it, but I want you to know I'm trying to be better. For Emma, for Jeremy, for myself. I nodded. That's all anyone can do. Jeremy walked me out an hour later. We stood in the hospital parking lot, spring breeze carrying the smell of flowers. Thank you, Dad. For what? For not giving up on me. You could have. After everything I did, everything I said, but you didn't. You're my son, Jeremy. I'm not giving up on you. I know that now, and I'm sorry it took me so long to understand it. We hugged, and for the first time in months, it felt real. Life settled into a new rhythm after that. Jeremy and Kate visited the beach house once a month with Emma. The visits were different now, quieter, more genuine. We'd have dinner, walk on the beach, talk about real things instead of dancing around money. Kate's parents eventually reconciled with their situation. Richard found work as a consultant, nothing glamorous but steady. Diane got a part-time job at a boutique. They'd downsized their life, and surprisingly, they seemed happier for it. Kate's relationship with her parents improved too. Without the pressure of maintaining appearances, they actually talked to each other. Really talked. As for me, I spent my days exactly how I'd planned. Reading on the back deck, walking the beach, occasionally meeting with Walter Price to discuss Margaret's estate. I'd used some of her money to set up a trust fund for Emma. Nothing she could access until she was 30, and only if she demonstrated financial responsibility. It was my way of honoring Margaret's request, teaching the next generation to value money without being controlled by it. Jeremy didn't know about the trust fund yet. I'd tell him eventually. But for now, it felt good to have a secret that was actually kind instead of manipulative. One Saturday afternoon in June, I was sitting on the porch when a car pulled up. Jeremy, Kate, and Emma, unannounced. "Hey, Dad," Jeremy called out. "Hope we're not intruding." "Never." Kate lifted Emma out of the car seat. She was bigger now, starting to smile and make sounds. She saw me and reached out her tiny hands. I took her, settled her on my lap. She grabbed my finger and held on tight. "We brought lunch," Kate said. "Thought we could have a picnic on the beach." "That sounds perfect." We spread a blanket on the sand, unpacked sandwiches and fruit. Emma lay on the blanket, staring up at the sky with wide, curious eyes. "I got a promotion," Jeremy said. "At work, more money, better title, and I paid off the last of my bankruptcy debt." "That's excellent news. Couldn't have done it without what you taught me, about working for things, earning them." I was explaining it to one of my co-workers the other day, telling him about how my dad refused to bail me out. He thought you were cruel. But I told him it was the best thing you ever did for me. Kate nodded. "It was hard at the time. I hated you for it. But Jeremy's right. We needed to learn to stand on our own. And now you have." "Now we have," she agreed. We ate lunch and watched the waves. Emma fell asleep in Kate's arms, tiny chest rising and falling with each breath. "Dad," Jeremy said after a while, "I never asked. That money you inherited from your birth mother, what did you do with it?" "Various things. Investments mostly. Some charity work." "She wanted you to teach me a lesson, didn't she? That's what the lawyer said." "She did." "Did I learn it?" I looked at him, my son, who'd made mistakes and owned them, who'd fallen and gotten back up, who was trying every day to be better. "What do you think?" He smiled. "Yeah, I think I did." Fall came, then winter. The beach house changed with the seasons, became different versions of itself. I loved all of them equally. Emma started crawling, then pulling herself up on furniture. Jeremy sent me videos weekly. Her first word was dada, which made Jeremy cry. Her second word was beach, which she said when they visited in December. Richard reached out in January, asking if we could talk. We met at a coffee shop, neutral territory. He looked older. The stress of the past year had aged him. "I wanted to apologize," he said, "for how I treated you, for the schemes, the manipulation, all of it." "Okay." I was desperate. The business was failing and I couldn't admit it. So I tried to take shortcuts, use other people to solve my problems. It was wrong. It was. I'm not asking for forgiveness. Just wanted you to know I understand what I did. I appreciate that, Richard. How's Jeremy doing? Good. Really good, actually. He nodded. Kate says the same thing. She's different now, more grounded. I think having Emma changed her. Children have a way of doing that. Do they? He smiled sadly. I'm not sure they changed me when Kate was born. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. It's never too late to start. We finished our coffee in silence, then went our separate ways. I didn't hear from him again, but Kate mentioned he was doing better. Taking things one day at a time. Spring returned, bringing tourists and warm weather. The beach filled with families, children building sandcastles and chasing waves. I sat on my porch and watched them, coffee in hand, thinking about how far things had come. My phone rang. Jeremy's number. Hey, Dad, what are you doing tomorrow? Nothing planned. Good, we're coming down. Emma's birthday is next week, and we want to celebrate at the beach, just the four of us. That sounds wonderful. And Dad? Thank you. For what? For being exactly the father I needed, even when I didn't want it. I smiled. That's what fathers do. They arrived Saturday morning, Emma toddling between them, holding both their hands. She saw me on the porch and squealed, breaking free to run toward me on unsteady legs. I caught her as she stumbled on the steps. Grandpa, she said clearly. My heart squeezed. Third word. We spent the day on the beach. Emma played in the shallow water, Jeremy building sandcastles with her. Kate took pictures, hundreds of them, documenting every moment. Around sunset, we went back to the house. I'd ordered a cake, simple vanilla with pink frosting. We sang Happy Birthday, Emma's eyes wide as we lit the single candle. Make a wish, Kate said. Emma blew, more of a spit than a blow, but the candle went out. We all cheered. Later, after Emma was asleep in the guest room and Kate was lying down beside her, Jeremy and I sat on the back deck. I'm thinking of starting my own consulting business, he said. Small, just me at first, but I have clients who've asked, and I think I could make it work. That's a big step. Scary as hell, too. But I've learned something this past year, playing it safe, trying to maintain some image of success. That's not real security. Real security comes from knowing you can handle whatever happens. That's very wise. I had a good teacher. He paused. There's something else. We're thinking of having another baby. Emma should have a sibling. And this time, we'll do it right. No debt, no keeping up with anyone. Just a family living within our means. I think that's wonderful. He looked out at the ocean, moonlight turning the water silver. Do you ever regret it? How hard you were on us? No. Not even a little. Not even a little. You needed to learn, Jeremy. And sometimes the only way to learn is through consequences. What about forgiveness? Don't parents forgive their kids? I forgave you the moment you started trying. Forgiveness doesn't mean erasing consequences. It means moving forward despite them. He nodded slowly. I want to be that kind of father. The kind who loves his kids enough to let them fail. You will be. We sat in comfortable silence listening to the waves. 2 years passed. Emma grew into a bright, curious 3-year-old who asked endless questions and loved the ocean. Jeremy's consulting business thrived. Kate went back to work part-time, something she actually enjoyed instead of just doing for appearance. They had another baby in December, a boy named Thomas, after me. I held him in the hospital, this tiny person with my name, and felt the circle complete itself in some indefinable way. He's going to be spoiled, I told Jeremy. Fair warning. Just don't give him money every time he asks. I make no promises. We laughed, and it was real, unforced. Kate's parents came to visit sometimes now, awkward at first, but gradually more comfortable. Richard had found peace in his smaller life. Diane had discovered she actually enjoyed working, liked the independence it gave her. Walter Price called me one afternoon in March. Thomas, I have something to tell you about Margaret. What's that? She left letters. For different stages of your life, I was instructed to give you one every year. This is the third one. He sent it overnight. I opened it the next morning with coffee, sitting on my porch. Dear Thomas, it began, if you're reading this, 3 years have passed since I died. I hope you're well. I hope you used the money wisely. I hope you found peace. I want you to know something about the day I gave you up. I held you for 3 hours first. The nurses let me, even though they probably shouldn't have. I memorized your face, your smell, the way your tiny fingers wrapped around mine. When they took you away, something inside me broke. I spent the next 40 years trying to fix it, but some things can't be fixed. They can only be accepted. I like to imagine you had a good life, that your adoptive parents loved you, gave you opportunities, made you feel wanted. I like to imagine you were happy. But more than that, I hope you learned to be strong, to stand up for yourself, to not let people take advantage of your kindness. That's why I gave you the money, not just to be rich, but to have options, to have the power to say no when people tried to use you. I hope it helped. I hope you're proud of the man you became, because even though I never knew you, I'm proud of you. Love always, Margaret. I folded the letter carefully, put it with the others. Then I called Jeremy. Hey, Dad, what's up? Nothing. Just wanted to hear your voice. Everything okay? Everything's fine. Better than fine, actually. I just wanted to tell you I'm proud of you. Silence on the other end. Then, thanks, Dad. That means a lot. I know things were hard for a while, but you came through it. You became the man I always knew you could be. I'm still working on it. We all are. That's the point. After we hung up, I sat on the porch for a long time, watching the ocean, thinking about mothers I never knew, and sons I'd almost lost, and granddaughter who was teaching me how to laugh again. Summer came again. Emma turned 4. Thomas started crawling. Jeremy brought them down for a week in July. We fell into an easy rhythm. Breakfast on the deck, mornings at the beach, afternoons napping, evenings cooking together. One night after the kids were asleep, the 3 of us sat on the back deck with wine. The stars were out, millions of them, scattered across the black sky. I have something to tell you both, I said. They looked at me, concerned. Nothing bad, just something you should know. Margaret Price, my birth mother, left a trust fund for Emma, a significant one. She can access it when she turns 30, assuming she demonstrates financial responsibility. Jeremy set down his glass. Dad, you didn't have to. It's not from me, it's from Margaret. She wanted to help the next generation. I'm just the executor. How much? Kate asked. Enough to change her life if she's smart about it. Enough to ruin her life if she's not. That's why there are conditions. Financial literacy courses, proof of employment, no major debt. She has to earn access to it. Jeremy smiled. Of course there are conditions. Would you expect anything less? No, and I'm grateful for it. Emma needs to learn the same lessons I did, just hopefully with less drama. We'll see. She's got your stubborn streak. That's your stubborn streak, Kate said. It definitely skipped a generation. We laughed and talked until late, finishing the wine, solving no problems but enjoying the attempt. Later, lying in bed, I thought about all the ways life had changed. The betrayals that had hurt so deeply 2 years ago now felt like distant memories, important but not painful. Jeremy had learned, Kate had learned, even her parents had learned, in their own way. And I'd learned too. That love sometimes means saying no. That family isn't about obligation, it's about respect. That the hardest thing a parent can do is let their child struggle instead of rescuing them. Margaret had known that. She'd lived it every day for 40 years, regretting giving me up but knowing she'd made the only choice she could. I tried to honor her wishes, to teach Jeremy what she couldn't teach me, and maybe, in some small way, I'd succeeded. Fall arrived, bringing cooler temperatures and quieter beaches. I celebrated my 60th birthday in October. Jeremy and Kate threw me a small party at the beach house. Just family, them, the kids, even Richard and Diane. It was pleasant, comfortable, the kind of gathering where people actually enjoyed each other instead of enduring each other. Emma gave me a drawing she'd made, 2 stick figures on a beach, one tall and one small. "That's you and me, Grandpa," she explained. I hung it on my refrigerator, right at eye level. Thomas gave me a toothy grin and drool. I considered it a fair gift. After everyone left, I cleaned up the house and sat on the porch with coffee, watching the sun set over the water. My phone rang. Walter Price. "Thomas, happy birthday." "Thank you, Walter." "I have the 4th letter from Margaret. Should I send it?" "Please." It arrived 2 days later. I opened it with the same mix of anticipation and melancholy I felt every time. "Dear Thomas," it began, 4 years now. I hope they've been good years. I want to tell you about the day I decided to find you. It was 20 years before I died. I'd just turned 50, was sitting in my office late at night, and realized I was successful by every measure except the one that mattered. I'd built a career, made money, earned respect, but I'd never stopped wondering about you, never stopped carrying the weight of that choice I made when I was 17. So I hired someone to find you. It took 3 years, but they did it. And when I saw your picture for the first time, saw the man you'd become, I cried for an hour straight. You looked happy, successful. You'd built something real from nothing. And I realized that maybe, just maybe, I'd made the right choice after all. Not for me, it was never right for me, but for you. Your adoptive parents gave you stability, opportunities, love, things I couldn't have given you at 17. And you'd use those gifts to create a good life. I'm rambling now. The pain medication does that. What I meant to say is this: I'm proud of you, and I'm grateful you existed, even if I couldn't be part of that existence. Love always, Margaret. I read it twice, then carefully filed it with the others. Someday I'd share these with Jeremy. Let him understand the complicated legacy of love and regret that had shaped our family. But not yet. Some things needed time. Winter was quiet that year. I spent Christmas with Jeremy and his family at their modest house in the city. It was small, cramped with kids and presents and laughter. Perfect. Emma was obsessed with the toy kitchen. She made me pretend meals all day, plastic eggs and rubber toast. I ate every bite and declared it delicious. Thomas was walking now, stumbling around on chubby legs, grabbing everything he could reach. "They grow so fast," Kate said, watching them play. "They do." "Do you remember Jeremy at this age?" "Vividly. He was a terror. Climbed everything, broke everything, feared nothing." She laughed. "Thomas is the same way. Emma's more cautious." "Smart girl." That night, after the kids were asleep, Jeremy and I talked in the kitchen over beers. "I've been thinking about something," he said. "What's that?" "An apology. A real one. For everything that happened. The way I treated you. The things I said. I've said sorry before, but I'm not sure I really explained how much I regret it. Jeremy, let me finish. I was so caught up in trying to impress Kate's family, trying to maintain this lifestyle I couldn't afford, that I forgot what actually mattered. I forgot you sacrificed everything to give me opportunities. I forgot you were a person, not just a resource. You were in a difficult position. That's not an excuse. Plenty of people are in difficult positions. They don't treat their parents like ATMs. No, they don't. I'm raising Emma and Thomas differently. I'm teaching them that family means respect, loyalty, honesty. Not just when it's convenient, but especially when it's hard. That's good, Jeremy. That's what they need. He looked at his beer, then back at me. Will you forgive me? Really forgive me? I already have. When? The day you filed for bankruptcy. The day you chose to face your problems instead of running from them. That's when I knew you'd learned. He smiled, eyes wet. Thanks, Dad. Thank you for becoming someone worth forgiving. Spring returned. Emma turned 5. She started kindergarten. Came home every day with stories about friends and teachers and playground politics. Sophia said my shoes were old, she told me during a beach visit. Are they old, Grandpa? Do they keep your feet dry? Yes. Do they fit comfortably? Yes. Then they're perfect shoes. Don't let Sophia tell you otherwise. She thought about this seriously. Okay, I'll tell her they're perfect shoes. That's my girl. Jeremy overheard this and smiled. Later, he thanked me. For teaching her that stuff doesn't matter. Someone taught me the same lesson once. I'm just passing it along. Margaret, and life, and necessity. He nodded. I'm glad she found you, even if it was too late for her to know you. Me too. That summer, I got a call from Richard. He wanted to meet, had something important to discuss. We met at the same coffee shop as before. He looked healthier now, less stressed. The bankruptcy was behind him, his life simplified. I wanted to thank you, he said. For what? For not destroying us. You had all that evidence, all those emails. You could have ruined my reputation completely, made sure I never worked again. But you didn't. That would have hurt Kate and Jeremy too. Still, you showed restraint. Mercy even. I don't think I would have done the same in your position. Maybe you would have. People surprise themselves sometimes. He smiled. I've been working with a financial counselor, learning to live within my means, save money, plan for the future. All the things I should have been doing 20 years ago. It's never too late. That's what Diane keeps telling me. He paused. We're happy now, really happy, happier than we've been in years. Turns out you don't need money to be happy. You just need to stop chasing it. That's a hard lesson to learn. The hardest, but worth it. We finished our coffee and parted ways. I watched him walk to his modest sedan, not the luxury car he'd driven before, and felt genuinely glad for him. The 5th letter from Margaret arrived in September. Dear Thomas, it began, 5 years, half a decade since I died. Time is strange, isn't it? I'm writing this in the past, but you're reading it in my future. A future I'll never see. I wonder what you've done with the money. I wonder if you taught your son the lessons I hoped you would. I wonder if you're happy. I hope you are. Happiness was always elusive for me. I achieved everything I set out to achieve professionally. But personally, I always felt like something was missing, like I'd left part of myself behind that day at the hospital. That part was you. I want you to know something. The day I gave you up was the worst day of my life, but it might also have been the most loving thing I ever did. I gave you a chance at a better life than I could provide. And from what I learned about you, you took that chance and made something beautiful out of it. That's all any parent can hope for. I'm tired now. The morphine makes everything fuzzy, but I wanted to write this while I still could, while the words still made sense. Thank you for existing. Thank you for becoming someone good. Thank you for letting me, in some small way, be part of your story. Love always, Margaret. I sat on the porch for a long time after reading it, watching the waves, thinking about sacrifice and love and the complicated ways they intertwine. That evening, Jeremy called. Dad, can I ask you something? Of course. Do you think I'm a good father? I think you're learning to be one. That's all anyone can do. I worry sometimes that I'm making mistakes, damaging them somehow. You are making mistakes. All parents do. But you're also showing up every day, trying your best, learning from those mistakes. That's what matters. How do you know when you've done enough? You don't. That's the terrible secret of parenting. You never know if you've done enough until it's too late to change it. All you can do is love them, guide them, and hope. That's terrifying. It is, but it's also beautiful. My 61st birthday came and went quietly. Just me, the ocean, and a bottle of good wine. I'd never been one for big celebrations. Preferred quiet moments, simple pleasures. The business had taught me that. All those years of meetings and networking and performing for clients. Now I could just be. Emma called me that evening via video chat. She'd made me a card at school, held it up to the camera. "Happy birthday, Grandpa," in crooked letters. "It's beautiful," I told her. "I made it myself. Miss Anderson helped with the spelling." "Well, tell Miss Anderson thank you." "She says you're welcome." Thomas appeared on screen, grabbed the phone. "Grandpa." "Hello, Thomas." He drooled at me, then handed the phone back to Jeremy. "Sorry about that," Jeremy said. "He's in a grabby phase." "Don't apologize, I miss them." "Come visit, or we'll come down there. Either way." "I'd like that." We made plans for Thanksgiving. They'd come to the beach house, stay for a week. Kate's parents might join for a few days too, if that was okay. "Of course it's okay," I said. "The more the merrier." After we hung up, I poured another glass of wine and thought about how strange life was. 2 years ago, I'd been planning revenge. Now I was planning Thanksgiving dinners with the same people who'd betrayed me. But they weren't the same people. They'd changed, grown, learned, and so had I.